Hi, my name is Drew and I'm going to be walking you through the Flyer Pursue by Intech today. Coming right up front here, we're going to go over the loading and unloading procedure. What we have here is your coupler. This is going to be in the unlocked position. From here, we're going to center your ball underneath the coupler. We're then going to go ahead and lower the jack on top of your ball. Once fully seated, we are then going to go ahead and lock this back. What we're looking for is that secondary latch is going to be engaged. I always go back a second time and just lift up on it, make sure it is in fact fully locked on. Once we have the weight on the ball and drop, we're going to go ahead and we're going to fold this jack up. What you're going to do is you're going to crank the handle until it is all the way in the up position. We're then going to go ahead and pull this pin here and rotate that up. That wheel is going to tuck up right here on the underside of that black compartment. From there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish this coupling procedure. So we're already on the ball. We have the latch, the coupler locked back. That is secure. We've went ahead and we've gave this a test pull to make sure it is locked in. We're then going to take our tow chains. We are going to cross those underneath the coupler because that is state law in Texas, that they are crossed underneath the coupler. We're going to hook those onto the receiver of our vehicle. We're also going to make sure that these are not going to make contact with the pavement at any given time because that is also against the law in the state of Texas. You're going to skate that line of having enough room to make your turns left or right, but not so much room that these can make contact with the pavement. Riding right next to those tow chains is going to be your emergency breakaway cable. Now this is essentially your last line of defense, and this is going to help avoid a runaway trailer situation. So if your camper or if your coupler here were to fail and your tow chains were to fail, as long as this is hooked on to your receiver, as the two vehicles separate, it's going to act like a ripcord to the electric brake system, locking up that electric brake system, again trying to avoid a runaway camper scenario. This needs to have a separate connection point on the receiver, so 3 points of contact, 2 for the tow chains, one for the disconnect or the emergency breakaway, excuse me. We're going to use a quick link, carabiner, anything like that to make that connection point. And again, very important that this is separate of the tow chains when we do make that connection point. Riding right beside that, we have your 7-way plug here, or this 7-way plug is going to plug directly into the bumper of your vehicle. This is going to give you full function to your vehicle's charging system, braking system, marker lights, tail lights, things like that. Moving on here, we have your storage compartment here up front. You can go ahead and use this for any storage needs. You could also, if you didn't like this option, you also have the option of installing the propane carrier as well. So it's kind of either or. You'll figure out which one you prefer. This is going to be this is going to hold a 20-pound propane tank and allow you to then remove the tank from this tension band, bring it over here to the stove location and use it that way. We're coming around here this side of the unit. We have stabilizer jacks on all 4 corners of the unit. These are to stabilize the unit, keep it from running away from you. This is not for leveling. So when it comes to leveling, we're going to lever the camper front to back using the tongue jack here. We're going to level it left to right using the tires and what's called a leveling kit. So you're going to come down here. You're going to, of course, put this on the end of that spline drive there. You're going to come down. You're going to make contact with the pavement, maybe a quarter turn more. That's going to shore everything up and, again, allow you to not put too much tension on these stabilizer jacks. Slightly long-winded, but once I do make contact, it is just a quarter turn more, just to shore everything up. Same on the way up. We're not going to want to go overly tight in either direction. These will stay in a lot better shape, the kind of the lighter touch we use. Here on the side, we have your 30 amp 110 volt power supply. Now this does only plug into the camper one way. If we go ahead here and look at the actual plug here, it is only accommodated one way. So if we look there, we have one L-shaped receptacle. If we line that up with the corresponding prong there, that's going to go ahead and we give it a 1/4 inch turn to the right. That locks it in. Then we do have this secondary collar here. We can screw down, lock it in further. We have a battery vent right beside that. That's of course for your sealed battery box here. Within that battery box, we have a brand new Interstate D-cycle battery. What that means for you is since it is a lead acid battery, it's going to carry a small amount of maintenance with it. What that is going to entail is pulling off the 2 vent panels and refilling with distilled water as necessary. So there is a clear marked water level. It is just important that we maintain that water level. Also within this compartment here, we have your battery disconnect switch that is labeled on and off. That is also going to be good for your battery to go ahead and utilize that for periods of long-term storage. What that means is any 12-volt system is going to have nominal or phantom draws within the system. What this is going to do is going to, again, disconnect that battery, keep those draws from compounding over months of storage, wearing and tearing on that battery. So it's just to help keep that battery in tip-top shape. Beside that, we have your 30 amp 110, or excuse me, we have a standard RG6 cable fitting. This is just a pass-through connection to the designated TV area of the camper. It is meant to utilize a park cable service, aftermarket satellite package, again, just as a pass-through connection to feed services to the TV area of the camper. And beside that, we have a ZAMP solar plug. Now that is a portable solar plug that is designed for a aftermarket solar panel or a portable solar panel. Essentially going to be a plug and play connection from here. You're going to go ahead and insert that panel or plug that panel in. You're going to take it out into the sun, directionalize it as necessary. That's going to keep you from having to park your unit in direct sunlight, but you can go ahead and take advantage of solar utilizing that port. Tires, tire pressure is the max tire pressure rating on the tire. That's going to be 50 psi. That's exactly where we want to run these tires, again at 50 psi. That is noted right here on the data tag, 50 psi. And these lug nuts, they've been torqued to 100 foot-pounds. It's very important that we follow the manufacturer's retorque procedure. That's the first 15, 25, 50, and 100 miles of initial travel. It's very important that we do go ahead and retorque those down to 100 foot-pounds. Again, making sure they are maintaining that torque as we go. Manufacturer further recommends that at the start of each trip thereafter, that we are going ahead and checking that torque and making sure that they are maintaining 100 foot-pounds. Coming around here to the back side, of course, we have your stabilizer jack there. 2 on the rear, 2 on the front. We have your back doors here. You're always going to close the driver's side first and then the passenger side over top of that. We do have a secondary receiver down here. As that sticker notes, 100-pound max capacity. So if you're using a cargo rack, bike rack, any of those things, make sure you're not exceeding that 100 pounds max. Coming around here, we're going to, of course, just close this door right now. We're going to talk about the outside kitchen. We're going to go ahead and bring the awning out. We'll finish up on the inside. So the outside kitchen, of course, you will come to it. It will be in the closed position here. We're going to go ahead and open this up. Allow that to come out. From there, we're going to go ahead and take your tabletop off of here. And it's just like peg style. So what that means is you line up these holes with the keyholes in the tabletop, and that will allow that to seat. Then we can go ahead and take that out here and do the same thing, putting it here in this secondary location, locking that down. Of course, that makes it usable from that location. We have your 12-volt cooler here. This has the power switch here. And it may be hard to see this display here since we are outside doing this. But that's going to read the real-time temperature. I don't know if you can see that, but it says 33 degrees Fahrenheit. If I go ahead and hit this set button, it's going to show me what the set temperature is, and then I can go ahead and adjust from there. Once it defaults, it's going to default back to the real-time temperature, and it will start to work to attain that temperature. All right, so here on the inside, you have 2 separate storage bays. You can really run this anywhere on the spectrum. You can run it as like a deep freeze, you can run it as a refrigerator, you can run it as a fridge freezer combo. In the event that you do have it kind of in that halfway point fridge freezer combo, you're gonna put your frozen stuff at the bottom, your refrigerator stuff on the top. Very, very cool appliance. This is one of my favorite selling points for these units. Say you're going on a day trip, you don't want to take the whole unit with you. This is a 12-volt appliance. You can go ahead and pull this out. You can use a cigarette lighter style receptacle, and you can have cold food and drinks all day long. So it's a very great feature. Before going down the road, make sure that we do go ahead and buckle it in. The cooktop here, this is a very standard kind of camping stove. Coleman cooktop. This one is made by Dometic, and they give you choices of how you run the unit. So of course you can use those one pound Coleman propane cylinders. Now those can go ahead and connect on there. You'll need to use this fitting here to reduce that down. So you could go ahead and use that fitting there. That would be helpful again for those Coleman bottles. If you're going to want to use the 20-pound tanks, of course, this is going to be an extension to do so. You can go ahead and utilize this. Other than that, when it does come to lighting it, we're going to turn it to light here. We're going to push that igniter until we see our flame here at the burner. It is very basic, very, very simple to do. When it does come to close up shop here, we're going to go ahead and lift up this release here. That's going to allow us to go ahead and feed this in and shut it there. We do always want to keep this under lock and key, especially when going down the road. That's a lot of weight there on that latch, and the more secure we can make that, the better. We have your porch light here. Now this is going to be just on a switch on the actual fixture, just a press button fixture. The porch light a little further down is going to be actuated by the switch there on the interior of the unit. We have 110 volt outlets here. Again, nothing too crazy, just some all-weather outlets. Nothing too fancy there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to pull this awning out, your batwing awning. It's very simple to do so. You unbuckle it here on this end cap. Once we do so, we're going to go ahead and flip it out of the way. Now this bag here, that's going to have our guide ropes and our tent stakes in it. So keep in mind that's where that stuff's going to be located. But as I do this presentation, of course, I'm not going to utilize any of that, so I'm just going to flip it out of the way. We're then going to go ahead and Velcro or unstrap the fabric here. And that falls down, and then I take the topmost pole and I grab that and grab the lashing here, and I start to walk with it. Of course, the legs are supposed to stay in as you do that. So from there, of course, with this vehicle here, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to go all the way around, you know, to the other side, but it is going to wrap full around the other side. Now, once we get to that other side, we're going to use this rope and we're going to tie that to the roof rack. Once we've tied that to the roof rack, then we have these legs here. They do fold out, and they are telescopic. So you can go ahead and unfold it, set your pitch of the awning. Of course, from there you can run the guide ropes down, the tent stakes, things like that. It is very secure once you have used the guide ropes and the tent stakes. It's an awesome, awesome product. You get the gist of it. If you have any questions of it, about it, please don't hesitate to give us a call. So here on the interior of the unit, starting here at the rear, we have a couple light switches. Of course, this one here, this is going to be for your porch light. Now that third brake light up top, that of course serves as a brake light, but also is a porch light. So you'll see that when it's a brake light, you have the two LEDs on the end, and the middle one serve as a brake light, and then the rest are going to be a bright white LED that's going to correspond with this switch here. We then have a ceiling light switch, so that's going to control the rooftop lights there. Then down low here we have a 110 volt receptacle or outlet here. The windows on either side of the unit are going to be the kind of those old school bus style windows where you slide the tabs back and you go ahead and you lift up, and it's going to hold in that up position. Of course, then to shut them, you're going to do the same thing in reverse. There you go. Air conditioner is above my head. This is going to be controlled on the air conditioner itself. What you have here, if you look here at the dial, this gray scale, that's going to be your standalone fan settings. You have a low, medium, and high. And then the blue is going to be your actual air conditioner settings. So if we go here through those, it's going to be low air conditioner, medium air conditioner, high air conditioner. And then we have your corresponding fans. We can hear that compressor kick off. If I go here to that optional heat setting, and then we go ahead and turn this thermostat there to the hot side, that's going to be your electrical heat option. So that's going to go ahead and produce heat anywhere where you would need it, as long as you have access to run the air conditioner. We're going to go ahead and turn that off and continue on. Up front here we have some light switches. This one here, this is going to be for your porch light that is above this window. We reference that there on the outside of the unit. We have this switch here, which is going to control the lights there in the overhead area. It's a three-way switch, so they come on a bright white LED. If I go to the middle, that's going to be off, and then if I go one down, that's going to be a blue light. And then we have this switch here, which is going to be the ceiling lights. So that's just a secondary ceiling light switch. We have your Max Air Excel remote here. This is going to control that fan above our heads. This is really controllable from this remote here. As long as I point that directly at the fan, that's going to go ahead and turn that on and open it up. Now if I'm looking here at the display, if I go ahead and utilize these up or down arrows, that's going to increase the fan speed in 10% increments up to 100%. Same thing there, we can reduce that fan speed in 10% increments. Now if I go left or right, I can set a thermostat. That's going to allow that fan to kick on and off throughout the night to attain a certain temperature. We can go ahead and close the lid, and we can run it like a ceiling fan to circulate the air inside the unit. I can also reverse directions of that fan to either bring air in from the outside or exhaust it, so whichever you prefer. Very customizable, very usable. Also is equipped with a rain sensor, so if it does start raining in the middle of the night, that's going to automatically shut down to keep any weather from making its way into the camper. So here up front, first up we have your fuse panel breaker box. What you have here on the right side is going to be your automotive blade style fuses. Those are going to be replaceable, so in the event that they burn out, it's a good idea to keep some spares with you in the event that you need to change one. There on the left side, we have your 110 volt resettable breakers, same variant you're going to find in your breaker box at home. Those are resettable. Everything in terms of function is labeled there on the door. Up top here, we have your main GFI outlet, so all the receptacles within this unit are on the same circuits. If one of them were to get overloaded, they all kind of follow suit. That's going to be the reset point for those. Then beside that, we have your charging section. This is 12 volt power. You have a 12 volt cigarette lighter style receptacle. Then to the left, we have a couple 12 volt USBs as well. Above that, we have your stereo setup or your multimedia center. This is going to run AM, FM radio, Bluetooth. You have auxiliary inputs, whether that be a 3.5 millimeter jack or a USB input. I find most people can really generally work themselves around these units these days. This one is very basic, very easy to navigate through. Up top there, behind the netting, we have your carbon monoxide smoke alarm. That's going to run on a 9 volt battery. That's going to let you know when it needs to be changed. Again, not a bad idea to pick a spare 9 volt battery with the unit in the event that it needs to be changed. And last but not least, we have your RG6 cable transitioning through the wall there again to feed any TV services within the unit. We hope you enjoyed the walkthrough here on the Intech Pursue. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to give us a call. Thank you very much.